Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel, Conversations with DeezNettes. If you're new here, me too. Let's have some fun on this journey. First, we'll be working through the Tyler Perry universe, starting with Sisters. Today, we will be discussing Season 1, Episode 2, Mixed Signals. The last episode, we found out that Andy is representing Gary's wife, Jasmine, in her divorce proceedings. Andy has a major panic attack and runs to the bathroom to call Karen and ask her what does she need to do. Now Karen answers the phone like Andy has predicted that she slept with Zach last night and is now judging her. Shaking my head. But Karen is more excited about Gary getting a divorce than Gary's wife being in Andy's office. Karen's advice? Figure it out. So Andy went to talk to her manager to recuse herself because there is a clear conflict of interest. He threatens her job, and Andy returns to her office to Jasmine, who is in tears wanting Andy to represent her because she came so highly recommended from Helen. She says that Gary is a liar, a cheater, a misleader, and she don't want him back in her life, so she's taking the house, the cars, the kids, and the dog. She want it all. Sorry. But she don't want him back. So Andy apologizes to her, and ironically, Jasmine tells her, it's not your fault. Jasmine tells Andy it's not her fault. She does not need to apologize, and she lets her know that she's hired a private detective that's followed Gary from the gym to this building across the street from his gym, which we know is Andy's apartment complex. So Jasmine knows that the husband lives in the apartment complex. She just doesn't have any details on who it is and where they are, just the location of the building. Now, we go back to the turmoil couple, Zach and Karen. Yet again, Zach is apologizing, and Karen is belittling him. Zach makes a joke about them having sexy time, and Karen says sleeping with him makes her think about the other chick. Like, why? Why are you sleeping with a man and thinking about his sexual proclivities? Like, you just had a STD panel, and now you back at it. I digress. Do your thing. Do your thug thizzle. Well, Karen decides to tell Zach to leave again. And finally, Zach just agrees with no argument, no fight, and Karen instantly regrets it, but tries to put on this strong front, like, yeah, that's what I want, so you go do what I tell you to do. Now she in the car complaining to Sabrina about feeling played, because Zach actually listened to what she had to say and decided to leave. But Karen wants to try to manipulate Danni into finding out where Zach went when he left her house. Switching back to Maurice. We back at the bank with Maurice and Sabrina. And Sabrina gets a bunch of roses. And Maurice walks in thinking that they're for him. So he stands in front of Sabrina and asks the delivery guy, who are they for? Sabrina. Well, Maurice is now hating. He all in her business, asking if she slept with him and if she's going to see him again, and trying to give her relationship advice for a man that he's attracted to that's not available to him. All right, Maurice, go on somewhere. Go on and open the damn bank. Just quit. Just stop. Okay. Andy stores at the Gary salon, and they both let loose. Karen is upset because she told Zach to leave, and he did though. He did. He left. She asked him to leave, and she left. Those mixed signals that the title is talking about. Karen tried to pretend that she isn't hurt that Zach actually did leave, so they leave together and go to have lunch. Now, Sabrina and Calvin already having lunch and making small talk. He is very sweet to Sabrina and finer than a mother. But Sabrina instantly thinks he must have a girlfriend if he's that interested in her or if he's that nice. But Calvin admits that he does not have a girlfriend, but he does have a baby mama and a son. And he said that his baby mama is batshit crazy. It's his own fault because he only got at her because she had a banging body. They only slept together once, and now he has a kid. That's all it takes, Calvin. That's it. It only takes one time, and you don't even have to finish. Like, okay. But anyway, An old friend of Calvin comes in named Laz, and let's just say that Laz is very spicy? Feminine? I don't know, but his lip gloss was popping, and they briefly kissed on the lips. It wasn't intimate, more like two homegirls showing some love. But Sabrina is shook. She tells Calvin she has to go back to work, so when he goes to pay the bill, she just kind of sneaks off and exits stage left, right? Anyway, we're back to Karen and Andy at lunch talking about Gary and Jasmine. Karen tells her she cannot take that case, and Andy asks her to help with an excuse. Karen reminds her, don't lose everything behind this man you work for. Karen encourages her to tell her boss and intros Danni, wondering why Andy and Karen invited her to lunch because they never invite her. She knows that Karen wants something, and here she goes. Danni is ready to get on Zach's ass. Karen tells her the situation, and Danni adds fuel to the fire by confirming Karen's delusions that Zach is at the home of the other woman he cheated with. Danni promises Karen that she will find the tea on Zach. Sabrina walks in and everyone is ready to leave until she says he kissed a man. Oh, they have time today. Sabrina tells the story of lunch, and now the girls are worried that Sabrina has a bisexual man on her life. The girls remind Danni that she is just as bad for her choice of me, and then the girls skip out on their bill without Sabrina, who didn't even eat. So Sabrina goes back to work, and Maurice is back in her business, asking her about the lunch date with Calvin. We find out here that extravaganza is Maurice's drag's name. Sabrina admits that Calvin has gay friends and tells him about Laz. She asks Maurice to get on the Rainbow Hotline to see if Calvin is actually gay, because all gay people in Atlanta know each other. Finally, Andy's boss is about to leave, but he stops to tell Andy that he wants to give her a pay increase of 11% until Andy admits that she has a conflict of interest. This man instantly rescinds her offer and tells her, you need to think long and hard about this conflict. He asked her, how much of a conflict is it? She was like, well, I know her husband. That was all she had to say. He sends her home, tells her, you need to think long and hard on this quote-unquote conflict, because all he wants is the dollars. And she got banked, and he knows it. So we cut to Zach zooming through the airport, and Danni stops him in his track. She takes his keys and asks him, why did he leave Karen? Zach explains that he didn't leave Karen. Karen put him out, and he can't go through what he's been going through for the last 3 years any longer. He's tired. He's fed up. He wants to do better, but it just feels like he doesn't have an out. So Danni just tells him, well, you ain't shit. And Zach says, I know. Your girl reminds me every day. That's why they're in this situation, Danni. So now we're in Juniper Foods, the local grocery store, and Karen is shopping for some light groceries, gushing at a couple and their kid, the model family. A guy named Aaron Carter walks up and tells her that marriage is not all it's cut out to be. He introduced himself after just being super negative, and Karen rejects his introduction, rightfully so, because he was just rude. He just came like he had a complete chip on his shoulder. And Aaron tells her, that's why you single, and called her rude. Then, out of the blue, he goes, that's why I date white women. Karen reads him from the front of that grocery store to the back. No one asked him about his preference. She wasn't really rude. She just kind of rejected him because of his approach. She didn't want to talk. That was it. I'm not sure if he picked up his face or not when Karen left, though. Maybe he did. Whatever. Karen is now sitting in the car eating her ice cream in peace, and here comes Aaron to apologize. Then had the nerve to say that his wife had been sleeping around on him, and he was upset and took it out on her. So Karen asked, is your wife white? Why, yes. Yes, she is. Alright, so let me do the math here. You don't date black women because they're rude, but you're willing to accept cheating from a white woman and then want to take it out on a black woman? I don't. That math ain't mathing. It doesn't add up for me, but that's boy math. He offers to sit and eat ice cream with her, and Karen accepts at the cost of his ice cream. And it was just vanilla, but it was an $8 box of vanilla ice cream. But it was a personal serving. Like, who pays $8 for it? Anyway, they reintroduce themselves, Karen and Aaron. Not the angry black woman and the black dude that doesn't like black women. Now, when we jump back to Danni, she's at work doing her job, and in walks Gary into the airport with a woman that is not Andy. Now, keep in mind, Danni and Sabrina do not know that Gary is married. And we know Danni. It's go time. Gary has no intentions of leaving his wife. That's very clear by him persistently pushing Andy off every time Andy asks him to leave his wife. And Gary's not going to leave his wife. He's not that type of person. He is getting the milk for free. So why would he pay for it? I don't understand, and it's not for me to understand somebody else's idea of love or someone else's feelings. But if she were to take a step back out of herself and look at her surroundings, she will see that something is very disconnected. There weren't any new information to update on the chart, but I will put it here on the screen. Andy is putting her job at jeopardy right now, even considering taking this case. Jasmine has a private detective. If Jasmine has a private detective, eventually he's going to find out where Gary is going. Surprised that he hadn't already found out, but we begin to see Karen's delusions. And again, I'm trying to watch this from a new viewer perspective, but you start to see that Karen has gotten she's starting to get delusional. Karen, it bothers me that Karen talks so terribly to Zach. I understand that Zach is not the person that she wants him to be, but if he's not the person that you want him to be, either you need to help him get there or you need to release him and let him find his own way to where he needs to be. But Karen, and she put Zach out and then don't understand why Zach left. 2 + 2 generally equals 4. What goes up must come down. Karen, if you tell this man to leave enough times, eventually he's going to think you want him gone. But Karen chooses to get upset because she thinks that Zach has left her for the other woman, but you actually put this man out. But that's Karen. We'll learn a lot more about Karen's thought process. Aaron, did nobody ask you, Aaron? Nobody asked you about your preference. Karen was grocery shopping. She was not bothering anyone. She had her basket in her hand. She was actually feeling good for a change, it appears. She almost had a smile. And here he comes to just completely demolish that for absolutely no reason but the fact that he's having a bad day. So he comes up to her and tell her, well, marriage ain't all that it seems. Sir, nobody asked you. You don't know what she was thinking. She might have been looking at that woman's purse thinking, oh, that's nice with those shoes. You don't know what was in this woman's head. But you decide you want to walk up and tell her that she shouldn't get married because it's not all that it's cracked up to be. And then to tell a black woman, that's why I don't mess with black women. She wasn't trying to get at him. She was not even trying to engage in that conversation. Karen was trying to walk away. And he chose to engage in a conversation. He chose to announce that he didn't date black women in a grocery store full of black women. So the read that Karen gave him was well deserved. And that's something in general, just in real life, that I don't understand. People have preferences. If that's your preference, cool. But when you have to announce your preference, it doesn't sound like a preference anymore. When you have to announce your preference like that, it sounds like you're almost trying to rebel because nobody asked you who you dated, what she looked like. We didn't even know you dated women at this point. Why? And I've noticed that black men have a tendency to do this when they stop dating white women, when they stop dating black women, they feel the need that they have to flaunt that in front of black women when black women are just out minding their black woman business. It happens way too often. I've seen it. But, if that's your preference, then you go do you. Leave the black woman who is not bothering you and who you do not know alone. This episode, we also learned that Calvin has a gay friend named Laz. I didn't see an issue with their relationship. Yes, the kiss on the lips was weird, but it could have even have very well been an accident because it just was so innocent. There was nothing behind that kiss. But Maurice is messy and nosy, so he had to reinterpret it and make it whatever he wanted it to be. So, it's up to Sabrina to believe what she wants to believe. I personally don't like believing anything about a person based on what someone else believes, because I have personally encountered people that I've been told were just completely evil, and I found them to be some of the nicest people. So, to each his slash her own. But that's all I had to say about this episode. It really didn't give us a lot. It just kind of moved the story forward. It's only episode 2. We'll have a lot more conversations a lot later on. But come talk to me. I want to talk to y'all about Sisters. I want to know what you think about it. I read a lot of the Facebook groups, and I'll be bringing a lot of those conversations into these episodic discussions. Thank you so much for stopping. You have a great day.